Okay, so on average, I think everyone has about 5 minutes for you to present. The reason why I'm saying 30 minutes is because to allow you, to untuk apa, to allow you to settle yourself. Sometimes nanti kadang ada yang nak kena ni, ada yang nak kena tu lah, or the camera is not functioning and whatnot. Yeah, so I guess now that everyone is okay, so perhaps we can start. All right, so whenever that you guys are ready, then you start. Okay.
Sorry, sir. We need to present our slides.
Yes, of course. Sorry.
So
No need to present. Sorry, no need to include your slide in. I know that we have the present now, can? No need to include your slide in, because I am actually referring to your slide on my Google Drive, and you can also refer to your slide on your Google Drive, unless there are major changes in your slide. Tak ada kan? So I'm pretty sure whatever that you have uploaded is the same slide that you'll be using for your presentation. So you just refer to yours. I'll be referring to the one that you have uploaded on Google Drive. All you need to do is just to present. Okay, so whenever that you're ready, you just start. All right.
Ready, guys?
sorry, sir.
Ready, guys?
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
Yeah, I am. Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, Mr. E. Today we would like to present you our Azure model and cost color theory. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Amsyah bin Nurdin, and the others.
My name is Nurul Najihah binti Harun.
My name is Siti Nur Fatihah.
And my name is Muhammad Zulfaidli bin Zaid.
Okay, now moving on to the first model, which is Azure model. What is Azure model? So basically, according to CURT 2016, Azure model is a procedural guide for planning and delivery instructions that incorporates media and technology in the teaching process in order to produce more effective teaching and learning. Dr. Hala 2014 also stated that the model was developed by Hanif, Melinda, Russell, and Smaldino in 1999. So it shows that the Azure model is constructivist approach where it's based on the belief that learning occurs where learners are actively involved with their own learning outcome. So now we are going to look at the Azure diagrams. Basically, it has 6 steps and elements, which the first one is analyze learners, second one is state objectives, select media and materials, utilize media and materials, require learner participation, and the last one is evaluate and revise. So the step or elements of Azure represented by a letter in the acronym title. So basically the ASSURE. Okay. So now we're moving on that the steps that are in the Azure model. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, there are 6 steps that we want to highlight for today. But I'm only going to focus on the first 3 steps, so that Fatihah will continue explaining about the other steps. So I will continue with explaining ASS. So the first step is A, analyze learners. This particular step is planning to specifically identify our audience, where we need to gather information about the audience first. Why? This is because our audience can be students, can be new teachers, can be members of organizations, right? So the audience also can be analyzed in terms of a general characteristic and also specific entry competencies. As you can see there, the grade level, age, mental, emotional, physical for general characteristic, and knowledge, skills, attitudes, learning skills for specific entry competencies. So for example, given here, so we look at the example given here, which has been drawn by Wang Zhouhe 2011 based on Asia model. Given here where participants in science class are standard 8 pupils that learn topic parts and functions of a tool, have basic knowledge based on their own teeth and the surrounding livestock. So meaning to say here, the general characteristic is we can say that the participants in class are standard 8 pupils, right? Are you agree with, with me? And then the entry specific entry competencies where the pupils have basic knowledge about their own teeth and also the surrounding. Due to that, we can select the best medium to meet our objective that we have set since we know our audience very well. Am I right? So now we
Yes.
move to the second step.
Yes.
So now we move to the second step, which is state objective. Okay, well, we are going to look at the state objective. The objective should be specific and measurable. Okay, this is because objective are learning outcome. That is what will the students get from the lesson, which means as a teachers, what we want our students to know by the end of the class, right? So ABCDs is a well stated objective. So basically, objective typically contain four basic parts, which are audience for A, behavior to be demonstrated for B, conditions under which the behavior will be observed for C, and D, degree to which the learned skills mastered. Okay, so, for example, given here, based on a Wang Zhouhe 2011, by the end of lesson, student be able to draw a diagram of tooth. So that is the objective of lesson. So we know that the objective meet with the by the end of the lesson. So to know the objective is successful or not, we look at the learner's response, whether they are able to do as a result of instruction given in the lesson. Are you guys okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes.
Now we look at the last step, which is select media and materials. Once we know our audience and have a clear idea of what audience should get out from the lesson, this is the time for us as a teacher, especially to choose an appropriate media format. So, for example, we can choose smartboard as a platform for our lesson. Smartboard, that one yang project the things that we use in UITM. The second one is document camera, the one that we use in elementary level, where we to project that one. We need to project that one, and then face to face. And the last one is streaming video and many more. Streaming video like we use right now. And then after that, we're selecting, modifying, or designing the specific material within the format to help us to accomplish this particular task. For example, based on the example given by Wang Zhouhe 2011, for example, for methods, teacher begin with a brief introduction and function of a tool. So pupil form discussion groups and sample of different scale of teeth. And then for media and material, we looked at teacher can use smartboard, document camera, and also books, chalk, blackboard in this lesson for interpretation in class, and charts and model also for demonstrations in class. So that's all from me. Fatiha will continue the other steps. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thanks, G. So I will explain the next three steps of the Azure model. So which is basically I will explain the fourth, fifth, and the last step in the OSHA model. So the U in the OSHA stands for utilizing methods, media, and materials. So this is basically where you develop your plan to implement the media and materials into the lesson. So what is the best way to utilize the methods or media or materials that you have chosen? The answer is by following this utilization process. So first, review the materials. So before we do anything, this is like the basic step. So you have to make sure the materials are appropriate for your audience and objective. And ideally, you should choose tools that your learners are already familiar with rather than those that are difficult to master. And for the second process, practice the presentation. So after previewing the materials, make sure to practice your portion of presentations. Why? Because we are involved in media. So by doing practice, you would be more familiar and comfortable to use the media later on. So the more you practice, the more you'll be more familiar with how to, let's say, sign in to the website or how to use it so that you wouldn't like um it wouldn't be chaos when you want to present later. Next, prepare the environment. So what you should do at this point is to confirm the venue, whether the presentation is going to take place in a classroom or auditorium or meeting room, and then you prepare the environment for your presentation. So for example, utilization of many media usually requires a dark room, a convenient power supply, and access to light switches. So, do you guys remember the smart room we used for this class before? The Arif 3 classroom. That's like the environment that Mr. E has provided for us, the learner. So that's an example. And the last step in the process is to finally present the material. So that's the fourth step in the Azure model, which is the utilizing methods, media, and materials. And then moving on, the next step is to require learner participation. So this step requires you to describe how to get learners to actively and individually involved in lessons. Why? Because students learn best when they are actively involved in the learning experience. So the main point of why we are doing the fourth step in the Azure model is to provide opportunities for them to practice the capability being taught. So how to do this? Simply incorporate Q&A sessions, discussions, group works, and hands-on activities. For example, do you guys remember for this subject we use Padlet, right? So that's considered media too. And then in the Padlet, after our last class, Mr. E asked us to do follow-up activity. So that's also an example of this step. And also ask for learners' feedback so that you can figure out what's working and what's not. Um, so that's basically for the fifth OSHA model step. And for the last step in OSHA model, it is to evaluate student performance. So here, the last stage is the most important part. So you must evaluate the instruction process from start to finish by reflecting on the instructional strategy, materials, and assessments. This step is also the most important because it decides if the lesson was effective and whether any steps need to be modified or re-examined. So that's it for the Azure model. So basically, to summarize, the first step is utilizing methods, media, and materials. How to utilize it? We use the utilization process, which is previewing the materials. We practice the presentation, prepare the environment, and then we present the material. So the fifth step is requiring the learner participation. And so a step is to evaluate student performance. So that's basically for the Azure model. And now for the examples of the application of the model in basically lesson or education. So the first one is the blended learning teaching style. So we all as UITM students are familiar with this, but do we all know that blended learning actually use the Azure model? So And even what we're doing now, like G said, using Google Meet to do our presentation is also an obvious example of Azure model, because before we use this platform, we have to consider the six steps in the Azure model. Okay, so the another example is medical students using database and search techniques to locate medical evidence for particular cases. So USM students, USM Penang, for example, use a database called Science Direct to do this. And the final example, the use of PowerPoint presentation is classroom, sorry. So the reason I use this example, although it could be seen as simple, right? Just the use of PowerPoint presentation in classroom is because I want to highlight that although the media that we are familiar with, like PowerPoint, it may seem simple, but actually, if you want to implement it in lessons, you still have to use all the six steps in the Azure model to do it. So I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going too fast, but you guys actually understand.
Yes.
Yes, yes, sure.
Sorry, because I feel like I'm going too fast. Okay, so that's it basically for the Azure model, and I will pass on to another member. Thank you.
Okay. Right. So we are moving on to the next model, which is the color theory model. So now we are starting from the what is the definition of the color of color theory. Now, basically, uh, basically color theory can be based on the three factors that has been shown in the slide, which is complementation, contrast, and also vibrancy. Now, for the first one, complementation, now it refers to the way how we see the colors in terms of their relationship with other colors. When colors occupy opposite ends of the color spectrum, now they can lead people to consider a design visually appealing by establishing a happy medium the eye can reside in, rather than straining to accommodate for a particular area of the color spectrum. The eye is provided a balance. Now there are two common uses in complementation, which is which is what is called triadic, and the other one is a compound or skill complementary. Now, for triadic, it is one of the example that has been shown in the slide as well. It is composed of three colors on separate ends of color spectrum. Now, how to create the triadic color scheme? First one, you have to take a color wheel and choose your base color. So let's say the base color is red, blue, and green, which is the base color. Now, you will also require to draw an what is called a equilateral triangle from these 3 points. Now, the 3 points of the triangle will form your tricolor scheme, and what it can do, the equilateral triangle can ensure the colors that have equal vibrancy and complement each other properly, and also balance the color out with for our eye in the web design itself. Now, the second factors that you must concentrate in the definition of the color theory is contrast. Now, it can reduce eye strain and focuses user attention by clearly dividing the elements on a page. It can also draw the viewer's attention towards specific elements of a page. Now, the simple example of it is when you are highlighting a textbook, when you want to draw your attention to a specific portion of a page, you can make the surrounding area look different than the rest of the text. Now, it can be applied in analogous colors, which I will explain after this. And also in web design, using a variety of contrast colors can help focus the viewer's attention on specific page elements. Basically, the easy way of giving an example is that when you do a text a text box, you use a contrast, like for example, if the text box is white in color, just you just have to use a black color for your text. so that it can create a contrast between those two. Now, for one of the example that I just mentioned just now, is called analogous colors. Now, analogous color is based on a careful selection of colors in the same area of the color spectrum. The colors are differentiated by the vibrancy and their contrast when compared to each other. Now, there are two examples of this. The first one is the shades of yellow and orange. Now, despite yellow and orange are somewhat considered in the same circle of the color spectrum, it is also can be contrast full. And the second example is the monochromatic selection. Now it is the shades of the base color. And the last factor, now it is called vibrancy. Now it dictates the emotion of your design. Uh, Although that we cannot see or the emotion that the others feel based on the design, but we can feel it as well. Now the brighter the colors can lead the user to feel more energetic, which is effective when you are advertising a product or invoke an emotional response. Now the darker shades in the web design can relax the users, which can also allow their minds to focus on the other things. Now the example for this can be used in vibrancy and also in complementation as well, which is a compound or split complementary. So it is based on providing a range of complementary colors. Now the two colors that are chosen from opposite ends of color spectrum. The designer is allowed more freedom in their design while also benefiting from the visual appeal of complementing other colors in the web design as well. So we can move on to the next part. Please, Amsha.
Okay, thank you, Zomba. Okay, now I will tell you about how the model function. The color function as an indicator capable of interpreting our surroundings, such as interact accurately and safely. However, already well attuned to things that happen naturally in our surroundings, which has significant implication for design. This is how we use color, like the surrounding us, the everyday life. We can see different colors when we go around. Where it's the the colors that we see can inspire designers to make the designs and use them as an indicator, such as some colors that have like red, then yellow may makes you feel cautious when you see them because they makes you remind of something like dangerous or beware. And beside that, we can be also identify how to improve design and support human vision better and improve visibility. This is how the doctor use the colors because they can identify the patient that if they have problem eye problem that is colorblind by using the color many color type spectrum to see and test how they are looking and they see the color and understand that they have the needs of to understand their weakness and disability. And that's all. I would like to pass to Zamba to tell about half of the example from the theory.
Sorry.
You can start with your example, half of it.
For example,
Should I start?
I've done.
Should I start first?
Yeah, just go on with your with the example.
Okay, sure. First of all, I will tell you about example. First of all is three-wheel theory. It have primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary consists of red, yellow, and blue. This is first color that uh, primary color that can combine and make after combining this between two color of this primary color, they will make change into the secondary color. That is will be yeah, yellow. Wait. Yellow. No. Orange, purple, and green. And secondary is plus with the primary, and the tertiary is the colors like in between the secondary color. There is yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, purple, and blue, green, and yellow, green. Um, com- Okay, after that, I will tell you about complementary. It's one of the more pairs of the colors that, when combined, can connect each other, but they practice high contrast, if as you can see in the slide. And after that is the Triadic. Triadic is the color that the opposite side of them, using two sets of the complementary pairs. That's it. Move on to Zomba. Thank you.
I'm done already with my
Oh,
exam.
you already.
Yes, I did it within.
Oh, okay. I think that's all from our group.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, okay. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for your presentation. Yeah. Just now I forgot to ask whether you allow your friends to join together to watch your presentation. So someone requested few times just now, but it's okay. I've already informed them that this session will be recorded. But I guess that's all. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. Have a nice and lovely
You
day.
sir.
Thank you,
Okay. See
sir.
Okay. All right.
Thank you,
Assalamualaikum.
sir.
Salam.
you.
Salam.